this Sunday after Veterans Day, special correspondent James Brown is honoring a driving force, a woman who uses golf to heal service members who've sacrificed so much for our country.
There you go. Good. Oh, go in, go in, go in. Oh!
It's a beautiful day for golf on the Clearview Golf Course in East Canton, Ohio. But for these women, being here is about much more than sinking putts.
You look at that little white ball, it's very little. You don't think of anything else when you're trying to hit that ball.
Good putt.
The women are part of Clearview Hope, the first golf program for female military veterans in America.
It's freedom. You can look at your other comrade, your other sister, and you know what she's saying without even saying a word.
These veterans have served in far-flung places like Vietnam, Korea, and Iraq, and their service has taken a toll, from sexual assault to post-traumatic stress disorder.
What were the biggest challenges associated with being in the service as a woman?
I had to work 2 times harder to get those who are higher ranking than me to understand that I'm good enough to be there.
So you see the lines on your putter?
One woman, 73-year-old Renee Powell of the PGA of America, decided to help these women heal. She started the Veterans Program 8 years ago.
Back and through.
And is the golf pro and co-owner of Clearview.
Everything they've done throughout my life has always been connected with golf. And then my biggest passion is this golf course that my father began building in 1946.
Her father, Bill Powell, was a World War II veteran who returned home and was denied entry to local golf courses because of the color of his skin. He built Clearview so that Renee and her brother Larry would not have the same barriers.
I grew up here. My dad put a golf club in my hand when I was 3 years old, and I've been playing golf ever since.
With support from her mother, Renee's father built Clearview on his own, mostly by hand. It took him 30 years of plowing, planting, and seeding to turn a former dairy farm into this beautiful 18-hole public course. Her brother Larry has been the head groundskeeper of his family plot for all of his life.
What continues to drive you and Renee to do this?
When you're born into something, you want to see things go proper and right, and that's what drives you.
While Larry stayed home to care for Clearview, Renee Powell found she had a special talent for the game. She became a top amateur and captain of the Ohio State golf team.
Were there circumstances that you had to persevere and overcome at the collegiate level?
I was the top female golfer, amateur golfer in the state of Ohio, but I was never able to play in our Ohio Golf Association tournament because they played at private clubs, and I wasn't allowed at private golf clubs.
Powell did not let those roadblocks stop her. In 1967, she turned pro and became the second African American to play on the LPGA Tour, where she faced new challenges.
We traveled through the South a lot, and so there were like threat letters on my life or refused, at restaurants.
So after you retired from the tour, you stayed involved. Why?
Because I love the game of golf.
After 13 years on the tour, Powell retired and became an international ambassador for golf. For decades, teaching golf in Africa, Asia, Australia, and Europe.
It's beautiful, yes.
Powell's contributions have gained her recognition here at the birthplace of golf, St. Andrews, Scotland. She allowed us to tag along on a recent visit.
I'm in the middle of writing my autobiography. The last chapter is going to be about the Kingdom of Fife and all the things that have happened to me here in St. Andrews.
What has happened in St. Andrews is amazing. In 2015, Powell was among the first class of women to gain membership into the most exclusive club in the world, the 265-year-old Royal and Ancient Golf Club. Auburn Stewart Wilson sits on the club's membership board.
In Renee, the club wanted to recognize her pioneering playing career, her selfless work in pursuit of equality, and also doing so much particularly for younger generations.
In 2008, Powell received an honorary degree from the University of St. Andrews. And last year, the school made her the first American in its 600-year history to have a residence hall in her name. Sally Mapstone is the university's principal.
Renee was the person who absolutely stood out for me. She represents what is very dear to St. Andrews, which is diversity, inclusivity, and a natural pride in great achievements. She believes in hope, ambition, and thinking about yourself within the context of others.
Even on this trip to St. Andrews, Powell was thinking of others. She arranged for her women's veterans group to travel to Scotland. She surprised them when they arrived to stay in Powell Hall. The group played on the historic old course and had tea at the university. You were unselfish in bringing your women veterans here with you. What are you hoping the takeaway will be going back to Clearview?
I know the takeaway is going to be so positive for them, and to realize that how much they are appreciated.
Back at Clearview, the veterans definitely appreciate being on the first golf course designed, built, owned, and operated by an African American in the United States.
We want to keep this going for Renee, for her, Larry, and Mr. Powell.